We're live. Breaking down Talladega. Give time for people to get in here. The way that this slate is the way the starting lineup ended up, I think there's going to be a ton of leverage positions here to work with and build with. I'd like to see, still getting people in here, but I'd like to know what people think Larson's ownership is going to be. Starting dead last, obviously didn't get a chance to make a qualifying lap with that inspection issue. So starting dead last, absolute chalk. You know, Hendrick won Daytona. Larson's not great at super speedways, but you can't just use that as a reason not to pick the guy starting dead last, I don't think. It's one of those positions where I don't know if you need to take a stand. Obviously, you can take a stand with Larson in single entry contests and in like qualifiers. You know, single entry contest. I think Larson's gonna. I would be shocked if Kyle Larson is under 50% ownership today. And in single entry and qualifiers, I don't see how he doesn't touch 70%. Like he's underpriced for who he is. He's starting dead last. Cannot score negative points. I just don't see how Larson isn't. And I haven't really looked a ton around as far as, you know, other projections out there or anything. But I don't see a world in which Larson isn't over 50% in every single contest. And rightfully so. But you can obviously, like, there's opportunity here to go underweight on him. Like, that's my contrarian brain says go underweight on Larson. Same with Chastain back there, Stenhouse back there. Like, you can go underweight on these guys if you want, and that's typically my strategy at super speedways. Is some of these bigger names I like to go underweight, just because if they do have issues, you're getting your leverage there. But the ownership of the high ownership that Larson's going to get, the high ownership that Chastain's going to get, the high ownership that Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to get, just because they're the big names starting in the back, is going to allow you to get leverage on the field with the other guys starting back there that people are going to overlook. Noah Gragson is not going to be as high owned as he should today. I can guarantee that. Cody Ware, same thing. BJ McLeod's in a shitbox, so the only way he's finishing top 20 is if there's a ton of wrecks. Talladega is typically a little bit more tame than Daytona. These next gen cars, it's been a little bit more tame, you know, super speedway wise. Plus, they're harder to fully break. So we see more people actually finishing these races. So that's why I'm not really on BJ McLeod. Like, that car is absolute garbage. Cody Ware's car is not awful. But then you got like Corey LaJoie, Zane Smith starting 31st, 30th. They have the exact same upside as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Carson Hocevar. I forgot about Hocevar. I love all three Spire cars today. You know, obviously LaJoie is probably going to get a decent amount of ownership today just because it's Corey LaJoie. He's one of the better super speedway racers in the field. You know, he has a history. But guys like Zane Smith, guys like Carson Hocevar, they have no history in the Cup Series. And people, just for that reason, are not going to pick them very much, despite the fact that they are in competitive cars starting 30th or worse. So to me, it's very simple this week to get leverage using these guys starting in the back with the exact same upside as a guy like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a guy like Ross Chastain, who have both won here. and a guy like Kyle Larson. Does that mean fade Chastain, fade Stenhouse, fade Larson? No. Pass through. I didn't see that there was a pass through happening. Did Pockris just tweet that out or something? And it doesn't matter. Like, I don't even care about pass throughs on smaller tracks, but it definitely doesn't matter at a place like Talladega. Larson will be fine. He's if anything, it would just be like if you got bad luck with him or bad timing to where I honestly don't think BJ McLeod's going to be able to keep up with the draft. So like there could be a position where Larson has to make the pass through. He gets lapped. LaJoie gets lapped. There's a caution. Larson gets trapped a lap down, but Larson will be fine. He'll be fine. Bob just tweeted it. Yeah, I'm pulling up his Twitter right now. Larson car went through tech last night. He had his car chief ejected. Will have to do a pass through at the start for roof. Yeah, I didn't see that there was a pass through initially. Still does not change my perspective on him. Like he'll be fine with the pass through. Don't worry about that. I don't know if you were or not, but Larson will be fine. Who's winning today? Man, you got your guess is as good as mine. I'd like to see Truex pull it off. I honestly don't know though. Give me a number and go to the starting positions, and that there's your winner. There's my guess for the winner. Tweeting this out just for Larson. Eric Jones is another guy. He is great at super speedway, starting 28th, ton of upside, place differential. Love Eric Jones today. I think these big name guys, especially we got Blaney starting 21st, we got Keselowski starting 22nd, we got Hamlin starting 23rd. Honestly, how many lineups do you think are going to be today? I don't even know if you could do this lineup, but Blaney, Kes, you probably won't be able to, but no chance. Where's Chastain on here? Like some variation of something like this, like Chastain, Stenhouse, Larson, Hamlin, or Blaney, or Keselowski, and then just like a Gragson or anyone starting in the back. There's going to be a ton of lineups that just start with Chastain, Stenhouse, Larson. I'd almost, if you're building a ton of lineups, I'd almost make a rule. Max 2 of those 3, and don't let lineups build with those 3. That's just what I do. There's tons of strategies you could take here. Blaney or Gragson, single entry. I go Gragson. Higher upside. Honestly, I could see Blaney being higher owned than him. A lot of people are Blaney's finished first or second here in last 3 races. Don't get me wrong, Ryan Blaney can win this race, but there's nothing guaranteed. So in a single entry contest, ownerships are going to be higher for the chalkier guys. Single entry contest, the ownerships are going to go up for these chalkier guys. So I'd go Gragson. If you're picking between those two, if you didn't want to go those two, I'd go like Hocevar, because I don't feel like a ton of people are going to be on Hocevar. Maybe even Zane Smith, Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe. I think are all solid there. Briscoe has a really good record at Talladega, which obviously like finishing position, track record don't mean anything here. We're not really thinking about that at all. We're just looking at starting position. We're hoping to avoid the wrecks. Like everything about this race is your strategy when building a lineup. It doesn't matter who you pick. Doesn't matter the only thing that matters is starting position. We're not looking at dominator points today. We're not looking at laps led, fastest laps. Just looking at place differential and then getting through place differential potential and getting through the wrecks. I did see a stat, I believe, like the last, I want to say, I know it was on Win the Race. Shout out to those guys. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you do. Wintherace.info. They have really good stuff over there. I use it every week just to, kind of compare my stuff, and they have good stats as well. But where is it? It was Talladega winners over the last however many races have started 19th or better, or 19th or worse, or something weird. I'm probably not going to be able to find this quick. Oh, man. Yeah, but, casual rules do not care about salary cap. Leave as much salary cap as you want on the table. Place differential, that's it. That's all we're looking at. Honestly, I would definitely take the top 5 starters out of your player pool entirely. Would not even touch them this week. I can kind of get behind. Maybe if you followed my tweets or read my betting article, that I like Truex a little bit this week. Starts way too high for me to really like him in DFS, but I'm gonna have a little bit just because I do like him. Otherwise, Logano, obviously, there's that dominator potential. He dominated at Daytona. He could dominate this race. He could win it. So I think you need to have a little bit Logano exposure, a little bit, and I'm saying a little bit to like single digit percentages. Logano's probably going to be 10, 12% owned today. I'm still going underweight on him. He starts too high. Yes, he can win this race. Yes, he can dominate it, but I'm not taking the 7th place starter. I'm not putting a ton of it. I'm going pure place differential. Same with Busher, same with Elliott, same with Bell, Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman. Very little. I'm still going to have some exposure because the potential is there for them to get in that optimal lineup, but I'm not going crazy. Where I start to pick up my exposures this week is going to be William Byron starting 13th and then looking further back. Obviously, Byron won Daytona. Byron's been solid at super speedways in this next-gen car entirely. Bubba Wallace has won here at Daytona before. Ty Gibbs is a bit of a question mark. Harrison Burton, I don't really love just because the Fords aren't great in actual race speed. We haven't seen them do great in race speed at super speedways this year. So I don't think I really like Harrison Burton. SVG starting 17th. I think he starts too high for me to have a ton of him. And just as the positions go back, my exposures are getting higher. Reddick, Hemrick, same thing. John Hunter Nemechek, top 10 at Daytona. Don't mind being overweight on him compared to the field, just based on, he had top 10 at Daytona. He's starting 20th. There's still room there. But then we get into this range of Blaney, Keselowski, Hamlin starting 21st through 23rd. They're all going to be very high owned. And they, I'm just checking my ownership projections here. I think they're all going to be over 30% owned today. Those might be a little too high, but they're big names starting outside the top 20. I think we can go underweight on. Like, obviously Blaney can win. He's great here. Keselowski's won here 6 times. Denny Hamlin is a great super speedway racer, but they're still might be over owned and percentage wise compared to, it's going to be a very easy scenario for us to go underweight and get guys further back that have higher upside. I really like Anthony Alfredo sitting there in 24th. He's going to be crazy low owned for a guy starting 24th. You know, that car has finished top 10 at super speedways before, that Beard Motorsports car. And then I think a lot of money is going to be made here in this 25 to 31 range of drivers. Suarez, Briscoe, Haley, Eric Jones, Josh Berry, Zane Smith, Corey LaJoie. I think that is the honey hole this week right there. 24 to 31 starting positions. Love that. Love that cluster of drivers right there. Where I'm going back to, okay, here we go. The winner has started inside the top 19 in 27 of the last 28 Talladega races. Denny Hamlin was the only driver to do it without starting in the top 19. It's certainly possible that the winner comes from there. I think this week is going to be where that stat extends, or has a high chance of extending to like has started 23rd or better. Like if you give me 23rd or under this week, you know, you add Hamlin, Blaney, Keselowski into the 19 or under or top 19. It's very, very possible that the winner, it's very, very not likely, but like chances are high that, or relatively high that the winner's going to come from that. Took down the Chrome Horn last week. Hell yeah, man. It's awesome. I did not play much DFS last week. I just wasn't feeling good about that slate. And then, you know, the race turned into what it was. So let's go this. Let's actually build a lineup. Okay. Chastain, Suarez, Larson. And just keep in mind, like this week, you know, I'm probably going to like pretty much every single build that anybody suggests, as long as it, you know, follows the basic rules of super speedway DFS lineups. LaJoie, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this for FanDuel? Since there's only 5 there, or did you forget one? You have room to do. I'll see if Mark responds here. But yeah, you forgot one. Okay, let me know who else you were thinking there. I mean, you can go anywhere. You have enough. You have enough cap to go anywhere here. But this is. I mean, I think it's pretty solid. I would, you know, if you want to get. It's pretty chalky here. Yeah. Okay. You're leaning Haley. I like that move. I like someone in that that little range I was telling you about there, that 24 to 30 to kind of cap this one off. Because obviously, you know, you got the Chalk Larson, Chalk Chastain, LaJoie and Gregson are going to have decent ownerships. So I think you need someone here that's going to be Suarez is going to be pretty low owned. And then I think you just need someone else that's going to be in that range there that I was talking about. That's going to, you know, be pretty low owned. I'd consider Briscoe there. I think he's going to be, you know, I think he's going to be in that 15% range. Or also Zane Smith. You can go Zane Smith. If you wanted even more upside, you could come down to Hocevar. But I'd probably come down and just grab Zane Smith here. Or like you said, Haley. I mean, you can go Haley. I got Haley projected at about the same ownership as Zane Smith, so you could go either way there. Zane Smith has a little bit more upside, but Haley has the super speedway prowess a little bit more than Smith does. So yeah, I'd cap it off with one of those two. I think that's solid. You know, obviously you have some chalk there, but sometimes you have to eat the chalk, especially at these super speedway races. You know, we've seen it kind of often with this next gen car where the chalk is where you need to be for a decent portion of your lineup. Obviously, you still have to differentiate yourself elsewhere. Concern about possible rain and condensed race. Everything I've seen is once it gets done racing or done raining and they get the track dry, we should be solid. I don't think we're going to run into issues um, with rain during the race. Obviously, they don't have lights here, so if the race takes forever, they it could get shortened due to darkness. You can't really predict that. You can't try to build anything different. If anything, I think if this race gets condensed, I don't think it's going to get condensed. I don't think we have to worry about that. If it gets, you know, where that's a possibility, I think it actually remains a little bit of a more tame race. I think they'll play follow the leader for most of this race and then go crazy at the end. Kind of like we saw at Daytona, to be honest with you. But you can't those type of factors I don't even consider this week when I'm doing lineups because you can't really there's no significant factors in there to make you stray from just basic super speedway strategy. So yeah, you can have that in the back of your mind. You can maybe start shifting, the more favorites, the guys like Blaney, Keselowski, Hamlin that are better at super speedways that run up front of super speedways, thinking, if it's a more tame race, they're going to be up there, they're going to stay up there, they're going to be able to finish up there. But in reality, it's kind of the same strategy you're taking without that being taken into account. So I wouldn't let that affect anything. All right. Chastain, LaJoy, Nemechek. I don't have these salaries burned into my memory this week, so I'm just going to do this search. Alfredo, Larson, and a lot of these, if you can, and you got your builds, let me know a contest or a group of contests that you're thinking about putting this in, because my opinion will change a little bit depending on if it's a single entry contest, if it's a high dollar contest, if it's the huge GPP, it's going to change a little bit. My opinions are going to relatively be the same, but they might change a little bit there. And then Stenhouse here to cap it all off. Like I said, I think you need to do max of 2 between the Larson, Stenhouse, Chastain. They're just going to be so high owned, especially Larson. They are, those are 3 of my top 5 projected ownerships today. So I think, what's my water at? I think you need to limit 2 when you're doing that, and just go elsewhere there. I like the Nemechek and the Alfredo. I think those are really good differentiators here. So you don't have to get too crazy off of this lineup. So I'd recommend just taking off either. You can't. It's so hard to go against Larson today. I'd take off Chastain or Stenhouse and just come down to, if you wanted to stay in the 30s or anyone starting, because you do have, so you have Alfredo and Nemechek starting in the high 20s. I'd go anyone starting 28th or worse. So Eric Jones, Josh Berry, Zane Smith, Hocevar, Gregson. I'd take Chastain or Stenhouse off of here and throw one of those guys on and call it a day. Probably I'd probably keep Chastain on there and go do where the heck is Chastain at? You could go teammates here and go Suarez too. Suarez has suddenly turned into a decent super speedway racer. So you got the teammates in Chastain and Suarez, which obviously, they're going to work together if they can. I like it. I like that build overall. Just a little tiny tweak there between those three chalk guys in the back. Stenhouse and Chastain worry you because of how aggressive they are. I agree. I think Stenhouse starting 33rd is going to really, his ownership's going to be quite a bit today. And, obviously Chastain back there because he's won recently at Talladega. Yeah, I mean, there's always that aspect of it, but at the same time, Stenhouse is going to get to the front. We know that he's going to lead at some point in this race, most likely. Chastain can do the same thing. So look at it this way: if they are, if the aggressiveness worries you, think that if their aggressiveness causes a wreck, it's probably not going to include them. They're probably going to wreck someone else and not get wrecked. If you want to temper the worriness about aggressiveness here between these two, that could be a way to think of it. Is it crazy to go 100% Larson? Probably. But that's the thing. Like, he's so, you don't need much for him to. Yes, it's crazy to go 100% Larson. And I want to take a stand, like my brain says and always does. My brain says take a side on Larson, either go underweight or overweight. When I ran I ran 150 lineups through Optimizer. With some of my settings were I increased randomization up to 50%, balance at 30%. My rules were at most one driver starting under 13th. At least three drivers starting 20th or worse. At least two starting 27th or worse. Or 28th or worse. And then at most two drivers starting under 20th. And it ended up with about 55% Larson. And like I said, maybe my projections of his ownership are a little bit high. But I don't see where Larson is under 50% this week. I think he's going to push 60. So being in that range, I honestly don't have an issue being in that range. If you want to take a side, I would. My brain says, I don't know, man. I really don't know. Yes, it's crazy to go 100% Larson though. If you're putting, I don't know how many lineups you're putting in, but yeah, it's a little crazy. As far as build for cash games, would you start with Larson and Chastain? Definitely start with Larson and cash. Let me double check. Because I know my projected optimal today was honestly a little bit surprising. I'll put it on the and projections mean nothing. I do projections, but I really don't use them for these Daytona and Talladega races. Maybe like as a back. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably start Chastain, Larson. I think Chastain has a better car than Stenhouse overall, so I'd start. If I'm starting to build for cash, I'm going Chastain, Larson, Gragson. Those are my three that I'm going for cash. But here's my projected optimal today. So we're looking at, and again, projections don't mean anything here. But Hamlin, Keselowski, Larson, Gragson, Berry. Where the hell's Gragson at? And then LaJoy. That's my optimal projected lineup for Talladega today. Again, do not rely on projections. That's where my projections have the optimal though. Good luck to you too, Brandon. I didn't have time to jump into your live. I was going to, but didn't get a chance to. But good luck to you as well. I know you're quite a fan of Daytona and Talladega after last year and your results there. So but yeah, Chastain is not in my optimal projected, but you know, he's in plenty of lineups if you do use my projections. So I'm going to enter that one just because I'd feel dumb if I didn't. Also, I haven't really entered any lineups yet on this live. This is also the week, like this is where to me it's the most fun to make lineups in DFS. You know, I still play DFS every week. I'm obviously not at the level that I was 2-3 years ago. Just because I mean payout structures are so bad. It's hard to make money in DFS. And then with expanded betting, that's definitely where my bread and butter is right now. So I'd be dumb not to spend more time doing betting stuff. But DFS is where I flip the script on what I typically do. You know, typically I'm heavy betting and decent sized DFS. This week, my bets, I don't have that many out there. I'm not worried about it. It's not a priority for me. DFS, I'm putting quite a few lineups. I think I have 350 reserved, or you know, I have a dummy lineup in there right now, but I'm going to build, you know, hundreds of lineups just because to me this is fun. You let the optimizer do it. You set your exposures and where you want to be, and to me this is awesome. This is the most fun, and then you sit back and enjoy the race. Like that's the most fun. It is a week that you don't have to stress your DFS builds. That's nothing better to me. And you hope for the best. Gregson in the SHR 10, which we all know has been up front at recent Talladega races, could be a profitable pick for the win today. I really don't like. Could be, yeah. Obviously, 55-1 is decent. Like I said, I don't really have. I have 4 bets out there, maybe a couple more. I honestly don't remember. I did. You know, obviously, if you're a subscriber at RotoBaller, you get all my premium content. We did debut recently. We've debuted 2 articles. One, Scott, he does a little wrap up after the races. You know, to see how our whole NASCAR team's analysis did, how my algorithm did. I really like that. That coming out every week. It's one of my favorite things to read up on. Obviously, like you have to see how you did, and I mean you know your results for betting in DFS, but it's fun just seeing other people's perspective as well. And then this week we debuted a new betting article, which it's going to be a weekly thing for each race, where I'm just going to, you know, betting lines change so frequently and so quickly in NASCAR. So it's very important to, when there's a good bet, to attack it at the time and get it at that line. So debuting that, I'm going to be putting all my bets, tracking all my bets there for the premium subscribers to check. So if you're not a premium subscriber, make sure you sign up. Use code Jordan24. You're going to save some money. I'm going to get a little kickback. Everything's good. So, but yeah, I'm more worried about DFS today than betting. You know, if you want to bet outrights this week, yeah, I mean, this is the race to take long shots, but at the same time, over the last 7 races, we haven't seen a ton of long shots. You know, we got Chastain at 40-1 the other year. That was fun. You know, Blaney's won a couple times, but it's a lot of the big name guys. I know that this will be random with the Rex, but do you favor any manufacturers to run well? Yeah, I think, you know, based on what we saw at Daytona, the Fords have single lap speed. They're good in qualifying, but they're not as good in the race. Does that mean you should fade Ford? Absolutely not. They're still going to finish well. I mean, you look at the finish of Daytona. I'm pretty sure there was a few Fords up there. But I do think the Toyotas and the Chevys have a little bit of an advantage as far as being able to win this race. Now, when it comes to DFS, it's all going to be about avoiding the wrecks, and a manufacturer isn't going to have an advantage over another at avoiding wrecks. So that's why I'm saying I think Ford's a little bit slower in the race, but there's no reason not to pick Ford or to go a little bit lower on Ford with your DFS, especially those guys starting in the back. Does that lower my liking of the Ford starting higher up? Absolutely. A little bit, not significantly, but yeah, it does. So I do think that the Chevys and Toyotas have a little bit of an advantage there at actual racing. And obviously, I'm sure anybody could call me out and say that, Logano led the most laps at Daytona. He started on the pole and they ran around for most of that race and just rode around logging laps. So that's a big reason why Logano led so many laps. And obviously Gilliland was up there leading laps, but overall, I think Ford just has a very, very slight disadvantage in race speed at super speedways, but obviously they have plenty of speed in qualifying. McDowell's lap was dumb fast. Going back here, see if I missed any comments from before. Single entry. Pick 2 of the 3 out of a single entry contest. Between those 3, Gregson would be definitely out of those 3. Gregson's the number 1, I think, in single entry. Depending on what the rest if your lineup with these and you're picking 2 of these 3, if the rest of your lineup has a Larson in it, I would get off of those 2 chalk right there. And that's kind of the strategy of this build. Or strategy of building lineups at Talladega, especially single entry. I'd go Gregson here, and then if you have Larson, you have a really chalky guy. So I would go non-chalky guy instead of going Blaney or Stenhouse. So give me someone like a Briscoe or a Hocevar, maybe Suarez. The guys in that one range I talked about earlier. I'd go there instead of going Blaney or Stenhouse. And that's if you have Larson in your lineup with this. And that comment was from a half hour ago. So hopefully you're still here. Tempted to be more on the more aggressive side of Logano. I can't get there. At best, I'm going where I think he's going to be ownership wise, and that's at 12%. So I couldn't even see myself getting up to 18% Logano. I understand the thinking there, but I think if you want me to talk you off your ledge or talk you off that ledge, look at Logano's recent finishes on super speedways. Because in reality, that's all that matters. This race is only 188%, or 188 laps. Sorry, I was reading a comment that said percent. 188 laps. So not many. Fastest laps are going to be all over, and then you got laps led. 0.25 points per laps led. So you need to lead 4 laps to get a point. Very easy to lose that point just by losing a position on the track. So Logano's finishes in the last 9 super speedway races. He has a 2nd at Daytona and a 5th at Daytona. Okay. let's extend this out even more. Joey Logano has 3 top 10s in the last 19 super speedway races. I'm just looking at Daytona and Talladega. I'm not looking at Atlanta. 3 top 10s in 19 super speedway, last 19 super speedway races. This is why I can't get there on Logano. That's 15%, 16%. Now, if you want to use that 16% as a benchmark of when he finishes well, okay, so let's say, capping out at 16% ownership. Now you have to take into account that he starts 7th or 8th or wherever the hell he starts. He starts 7th, okay? So that brings his potential lower. And then you have to he has to dominate and he has to finish better than 7th for him to be worth it in DraftKings today. When he already only has a good finish record of 16% since 2019, 2018. Yes, the potential's there. We all know Joey Logano is very good at super speedways. Fact of the matter is, I don't think that's the move today. But I think a lot of people are going to go. A lot more people are going to go Logano than they should this week, and I just think that's another position to get some leverage on the rest of the DFS field. Love plate tracks in terms of DFS. It is the one track where you can leave thousands and thousands on the salary and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's so fun about building these lineups, because everybody's on the table. I tell my friends that want to get into NASCAR, maybe NASCAR betting, NASCAR DFS, it's a tough game, especially at the normal tracks, at the mile and a half, at the short tracks. But these, I'll text them. I'll be like, hey, this is the week to play DFS. If you want to play DraftKings, this is the week. Just pick. My only rule that I tell them is pick, only pick drivers starting 21st or worse, and pick whoever the hell you want. And yeah, they have just as good a chance of making a good lineup as I do. And I've been doing this, not full time, but you know what I mean, for how many years I've been doing this. Mentioned Atlanta. I don't think I've heard your opinion on how to use that data relative to these tracks. It factors in very, very slightly. To me, Atlanta is such a different beast than Daytona and Talladega. So I more so use Atlanta and Talladega when looking at, I more so use Daytona and Talladega when looking at Atlanta. I'm saying this wrong. Atlanta is still, to me, a mile and a half that races so much different than Daytona and Talladega because of its shape and everything else. So while that is a super speedway, while that is a drafting track, it is a different category than Daytona and Talladega. So I really don't use Atlanta that much or reference it that much. Which obviously, I was just, when I was pulling Logano's stats there, I was looking at Daytona and Talladega. That's it. Lineup under 100% total ownership. Yeah, I'll do that. Or I'll try to. Yeah, I figured we'd have the same opinion there. I'm not sure if other people, weigh Atlanta quite a bit. To me, the only comparison with Daytona or with Talladega and Atlanta is it's so different. No. Okay, so getting back to this. Gonna start here with Zane Smith. In 30th. I'm gonna go Cody Ware. Actually, I'm gonna go Grigson because I still want one of these like better than Cody Ware cars in here. I'm gonna go Anthony Alfredo. Just a second here. I'm gonna go Hocevar here. So right now, with this owner or with this lineup right here, 2 spots remaining. I'm at projected about 60%. So I mean, there's still plenty of room here to get some of the quote unquote higher owned guys. I'm gonna go Eric Jones. So we got 24th, 28th, and then 3 guys in the 30s. And then I'll probably go, you can go anywhere here. Eric Jones brings it to 79%. And then I'm going to go Briscoe. Yeah, under 100% too aggressive now. And Kurt made a good point here. 2023 optimal is 116%. I think you can make a great I don't think less than 100% is too aggressive at all. Especially, under 100% or like 125, 130%. Just because of, what we talked about earlier, the big name drivers getting such higher ownership share than the Hosevars, the pull up starting lineup here. The Hosevars, the Gregsons, the LaJoys, Zane Smith, Josh Berry, Eric Jones, these guys starting 28th or high 20s and further back that have the same upside. So I don't think it's too aggressive at all to have lineups under 100% projected ownership. If anything, it's a decently good strategy play to get off the chalk back there, because you're gonna hit probably 100% ownership projection if you just go Larson, Stenhouse, Chastain. I think it's very likely or possible that you could. Well, that's a good question. Thank you for that. I am going to put this lineup in. Zane Smith, Gregson Alfredo. Hocevar, Eric Jones, and Chase Briscoe. Yep, I remember that well. He was a Stacking Denny's listener. I remember I was sitting at a bar that day watching the race, and he DM'd me and was like, I think I tweeted out the DM, but yeah, that was That was cool. Everything had to go right that day, and it did. And the one time that rain helped people big time was that race for sure. McLeod in the optimal today, man. It's going to take a lot of wrecks for him to get there. That car is not good. That car honestly shouldn't even be in the damn field. It's so slow. And that's just another thing that I can't believe NASCAR hasn't put a cap on is the very, very slow cars. David Starr at Martinsville was an absolute embarrassment. There's no reason he should have been on the track. At least this time he got out of the way, but just no reason in a super speedway race. That's the thing with McLeod though. Like, if he does lose the draft, like I think he's going to, even with Rex, he could still be, he still has a decent chance of not finishing on the lead lap. So even if there's a last lap wreck, he's not going to make up any positions because he's not going to be on the lead lap. That's one of the drivers down there that I can't get on this week is McLeod. Obviously, I'm going to have like probably 5-10%. I likely won't even get to 10, but 5%. Yeah, Xfinity is a bit different. I honestly missed that race, so I didn't see. I saw Austin Hill got wrecked or something happened in that race. I'm trying to find it. If anybody's seen an update on the weather there at Talladega, let me know. I think it was just sprinkling the last time I looked. Kind of piqued my interest there a little bit. But let's do some more lineups. How about give me a driver? Someone give me a driver to start with. I'm looking at some of these that my optimizer spit out and see if there's any that just kind of stick out to me that I really like. Here's one that's kind of interesting. Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, Corey LaJoy, Gregson, and Chastain. Like I said, I can't see myself hating any lineup this week as long as it follows, the basic rules that I like. So I'm going to put this one in. Hamlin, where's Bubba here? I don't have a single Stenhouse lineup yet. Obviously, I've only put in 3 lineups, but just looking at where my exposures are already. Corey LaJoy. I'm actually going to take Gregson off of this one. And I'm going to go Eric Jones. Get 3 Toyotas in there. Hamlin, Wallace, and Jones. If we do like a SHR stack here, so an SHR I think is a good organization to stack because you got Briscoe starting 26, you got Gregson starting 36th, Josh Berry starting 29th. I'm not there on Priest starting 11th, but I can get behind Briscoe, Gregson, and Berry. Then I think you can go, if you want to stay with like the Ford, if you want to go Blaney Kaz, and then I don't really want to go Stenhouse with the Blaney Kaz chalk. Haley's in a Ford, isn't he? Right? Yeah, Haley's in a Ford. Screw it. Let's go Haley. All Ford stack here. SHR, Briscoe, Gregson, Berry, Blaney Kez, and Justin Haley. All Ford stack. Only got one guy starting in the 30s, so don't particularly love that. But there's still a chance that this lineup does decent. If Blaney and Kez do their thing at Talladega and the SHR guys work together, Haley finishes top 15, this lineup could get there. Let's have this thing generate some more lineups. Just randomly pick one here. All right. Here's one. Larson, Chastain, Hamlin, Suarez, Hocevar, and LaJoy. You got the Larson chalk, got the Chastain chalk, so it makes me want to get off of Hamlin here in that chalk. But you can easily, go grab someone else. Got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys starting in the 30s, one guy starting in the 25 or mid 20s there with Suarez at 25th. So I kind of want to, with something like this, I'd want to go maybe someone in the top 20 starting position. First gut says Byron. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go Byron. Yeah, I'm going Byron here. So you got Hendrick of Byron Larson. You got Trackhouse at Chastain, Suarez, and then you got Spire with Hocevar and LaJoy. If you didn't want to go Hocevar, you could go Zane Smith. If you didn't want to go LaJoie, you could go Zane Smith. You could throw in Zane Smith there as well. I'm just going to stick to what it is. So, Larson, Chastain, Byron, Suarez, Hocevar, LaJoie. Yeah. And obviously, like, you could increase your, some of your rules or some of your correlations with the optimizer to increase the chances of teammates. Obviously, I'm hand building these, so not having the optimizer do that. Let's see what else I like here. That's the thing with it. When you turn up randomization on these optimizers, you can, like, it just spits out so much and you can just play with it and have fun. All right, here's one with, let's do one with Logano. So we got Logano here. I don't like this. I mean, this is so chalky. So I'm going to switch it. Josh Berry there starting 29th, I think this is very chalky. Stenhouse, Hocevar. So immediately I'm coming off. If I'm going Logano, I want to get off the chalk of probably Larson here. If I want to stick with teammates, go Logano, Blaney here. I'm going to get off of Larson. I am gonna stay with Stenhouse. Just because I don't have any Stenhouse lineups yet. So Blaney, Logano. I'm all right with Josh Berry. But is there someone else I could go here? I want to get a Zane Smith in here, so I'm going to go Zane Smith in here. So locking in Logano, Blaney, Stenhouse, Zane Smith. I think Barry is a nice little pivot. That's going to be a little under-owned in that category. And I think I'm going to go Eric Jones again. Or Briscoe. Let's go Briscoe. Something about Briscoe today is just sticking in my head. AccuWeather forecast looks good. Chance of rain from 2 p.m. is 20%. Just good. Yeah. So it's all going to be it's going to be when they get this track dried, and if that pushes back the start time of the race, I think we're going to be close to the actual start time of the race. I haven't seen anything to say we won't be, which is in 2.5 hours. If we start on time, we'll be fine. Start a little bit late, and then and then there's a bunch of wrecks. Like if they start late and then there's a bunch of wrecks, that could extend the race. And cause issues, but I think we'll be good. Rain-wise, Ford stack with Logano. Blaney, Kez, and Logano? Or no? Yeah, Blaney, Kez, Logano, Gregson, Barry, Haley. Like I said, I'm not going to talk anybody out of lineups this week. I can't hate on this lineup at all. You know, you got 3 big name guys in there, so there's a decent amount of chalk, but we all know that Blaney, Kez, and Logano can challenge for this win. There you go. Busher, Briscoe instead of Logano, Haley. I actually like that. Busher's going to be one spot further back. And could just come out of nowhere. I am going to stick with Haley here. I do feel like need to go a little bit further back. For a Ford stack, this isn't awful though. I'm going to come off of Blaney though. And go down to Briscoe, I think. Playing any McLeod or Cody? Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with playing Cody Ware today. I'm gonna try to get him probably in that 8 to 12%, maybe a little bit lower than that, but not super low. McLeod, I don't think I'm not gonna have much BJ McLeod. That car is just so bad. It's gonna take a ton of wrecks for McLeod to get it up there. I'd rather go anybody else. And if he loses the draft and loses laps, that just decreases the chances of him moving up when a wreck does happen. So not quite there on McLeod. Obviously, I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to him, but nothing significant at all. Let's pick another random lineup here from the optimizer. Here's one with McLeod in it. But I don't know. I'm not really liking that one. I only have 2 lineups so far with Chastain, so I feel like I need a Chastain lineup. All right. Let's go. Start with Chastain here. Let's go Chastain. Let's go Zane Smith. I'm going to throw Cody Ware on here as well, since we just talked about him. Cody Ware, Zane Smith, Ross Chastain. Let's stack the back. Go Hocevar. I am going to throw Larson in here. And then I'm going to go let's do like a random Anthony Alfredo in here. So still upside, but gets two chalky guys here with Larson and Chastain, obviously. But then you go these other high upside, high starters in Cody Ware, Zane Smith, and Carson Hocevar, who aren't going to be super high owned compared to where they probably should be starting that far back. And then, you can go anywhere else with that. You don't have to go Alfredo. I was just doing it because I like him this week. It just has an off sequence pick there. Hamlin or Blaney to finish highest. My projections have Hamlin slightly. No. Absolutely not. And absolutely not. Do not roster Michael McDowell or Todd Gilliland. I will not have a single. I'm putting in. How many lineups do I have? Or how many? I currently have 239 reserved entries for today's slate. I will not have a single lineup with either McDowell or Gilliland on it today. Or anyone in the top five, starting top five for that matter. I will not have a single lineup with any of those guys. Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, Todd Gilliland, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon. And honestly, probably not even Truex. I know I talked about him a little bit before, but the only way he's going to get into the optimal today on DraftKings is if he wins. I have a bet on him to win. So why would I even waste my time? Honestly, I'm taking Truex out of my driver pool as well today. So I'm taking McDowell, I'm taking Cindric, Gilliland, Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon, Martin Truex Jr. I'm taking them all out, not even considering them today. Joined in late. I love Gragson today. I think he's going to be where he should be ownership wise and where he's going to end up. I think he's going to be lower owned than he absolutely should. So yeah, I really like Noah Gragson today. He's one of my favorite. Plus, he's got that Stewart Haas car. We've seen him run well at this track type before. And I think Gragson himself has a top 10 to his record. At Daytona and Talladega. So yeah, I like Gragson. Yeah, same. I'm on Truex 25-1. I actually think I boosted it up to 30 using Fanatics. Speaking of boost, DraftKings is offering their 50% boost today. I don't like a ton over there. I could see myself, boosting Hamlin up to 18-1. I'm probably going to go. I'm going to use that DraftKings boost today if I use it on either Eric Jones or Christopher Bell, top Toyota, and boost those up. Get Jones up to 15-1 or Bell up to 12.5-1. But yeah, Truex is popping in my algorithm, and he's not good. He does not have the finishes at super speedways, but he runs up front at these racetracks. Eventually, it's going to work for him, and he's going to break through. So, let's see here. I feel like I need a Stenhouse lineup. Haven't really said his name. So, first lineup I see here, randomly picking out of this optimizer that spit it out. All right. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Larson, Corey LaJoy. Man, this is Chalk City. Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Carson Hocevar. With Stenhouse and Larson on there, I want to get off of. I want to with Stenhouse on there. I want to get off of Larson or Hamlin and go elsewhere. Is kind of my initial thinking here. I'm gonna stick with. I'm gonna stick with Larson there in 38th. I don't mind staying with Bubba at 14, starting 14th. But actually, I'm gonna come down here and grab Tyler Reddick at 18th, starting 18th. And then I want a mid-20s guy. And honestly, I kind of want to get off of LaJoy here. Maybe. So Larson, Stenhouse, not yet locking in LaJoy. I'm gonna stay with Hocevar on there. Give me Eric Jones. And I'm gonna go Suarez. They're on 25th. Larson. So Pockers tweeted that out about Larson pretty much like right when I went live. So an hour and a half ago. He has a pass through to serve. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. He might get stuck a lap down. He'll be fine. At worst, like obviously he's going to lose the draft. They'll come around and lap him. He should be able to get in line and run first car lap down. First caution, if the first if the first stage goes green for a while, McLeod could trap Larson a lap down, but if McLeod's is as slow as I think he's going to be, then Larson will be fine. So he'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yes, Eric Jones. I really like Eric Jones today. Eric Jones is really good at Talladega. It used to be it's one of his best tracks. So starting 28th, I think his ownership's actually going to be a little bit lower than it should. So Jones is definitely a guy that I like being overweight on today. You look at the recent Talladega races. He's 26th last year, but before that he was 6th, 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 9th, 27th, 2nd, 5th. So Jones is really good at Talladega. I like him. 83 who calls it. Yeah. Larson will be fine. I don't have any worries about him. Like, there's a chance that he could get stuck, a lap down, but he'll be fine. He'll get back on the lead lap. Lowest position you roster someone. Some exposure to Logano starting 7th. Chase, a little bit of Busher, some Chase. Bell is like one I'm kind of on the fence on, but yeah, 7th is the lowest. I'll have some Logano today. I built a couple lineups here with Logano. Chevy stack of Byron, Larson, Elliott, Chastain, Hocevar, Smith. Like I said, I can't really argue. Like, that's fine. Obviously, 2 guys starting top 13 isn't my ideal type of build, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's awful. What about SVG and Chastain? Man, SVG, I just don't like starting 17th. I'm gonna have him in that 5 to 10% exposure range, but I'm not taking a stand on SVG. I don't think the college cars are that great. So yeah. And then Chastain I think is gonna be pretty chalky today. Obviously he has a ton of upside starting 32nd. So he's definitely a cash lineup driver to build around along with Larson. But it is almost 1:00 here, so I'm gonna hop off. Got some other stuff I need to do. I still have to build all my lineups. If there's any last second questions, throw them in the comments here quick, and I'll get to them. Yeah, I'm with you there, Troy. I really like Suarez today. I have him projected at about 12% ownership. Starting 25th, like I think there's definitely room there to be overweight on Suarez. Especially, if you want to stack him with Chastain. You got the teammates there coming up. Bowman starting 12th. I don't know if I'm there on Bowman. He can get there. There's a decent chance. Like, obviously he finished second at Daytona, so he can get there. Hendrick has decent speed. Bowman would definitely be a sneaky one. I'll say that. And it's going to be one of those guys that it's in that starting position range that I really don't like to be super overweight on. So it'd be one of those where like I could see it happening, but I'm not there. And I'm not going to reap the benefits if it does. But I mean, hell, you look at his recent performances on super speedways, just finish wise. 1, 2, 4 top 10s in the last 7, and only one finish worse than 14th. You know, past performance doesn't predict future performance at super speedways, but those are definitely encouraging numbers. And he doesn't start, crazy up front. So yeah, if he pulls off another top 5, which the last 3 Daytona races, Bowman's finished 6th or better. He can get there this week, starting 12th. And a lot of people, are going to be going to like Bubba in that range or Byron. Bowman's going to be. I'm sure Bowman's going to be under 10% owned today. So definitely a sneaky play if you want to go overweight. I think you kind of just talked me into Bowman a little bit. I'm gonna have to bump up my these random lineups that I had spit out Bowman at 13%. I might just keep it at that and not do any adjustments here. It has Larson at 46%. Hamlin a little too high at 38. Chastain 32. Kez and Blaney both in the 30s. That's about where I project them to be owned. So I'm probably going to go underweight there a little bit. Josh Barrett 28. LaJoy at 28. Bubba 26, a little bit too high for me. Chase Elliott way too high for me. But all right. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. Like I said, I like to get back on these weekly lives. And good luck today at Talladega. I think we're all going to need it. I mean, I know that we're all going to need it. But this should be a good race. Hopefully we can make some money. Good luck. Make sure, do not pick anybody starting top 5, top 6. It's not going to work out for you. That's one bet I would make. So good luck, everybody. See you next week.